Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Hack news. Hack news.
Radio.
Hack news. Hack news.
Radio.
Sack.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
Into the silo.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
And welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Look, it's a strange voice. Where is it? Who is it?
Who is the man behind that curtain? Oh, boy. How you doing, BZ?
I'm doing splendidly. How about you, sir?
I am, I'm breathing.
That's right. I woke up above the ground, so that's a good thing.
No complaints whatsoever.
Hey, speaking of which, I don't know if you were even thinking about this, but we were talking about Freedom Fest.
Yes.
And folks, if you're not signed up for Freedom Fest already, you really do need to go. You need to attend. You need to get your motel. If you're going to get a room, you need to get your room pretty soon.
We do.
Because they're going to run out of rooms, especially if you want to be in the same motel and make it really convenient for you, because now it's at the Paris.
Yes.
Last year it was at the
Planet Hollywood.
Planet Hollywood, thank you. And they're
Lovely
going to have
hotel.
a lot of really good people this year. And more than that, it's the 10th anniversary of Freedom Fest.
The X.
And so they're going to pull out all the stops. Here's a stop right there, and they're going to pull it.
Right out. Right out. It's going to be pretty awesome. I'm actually looking forward to Freedom Fest this year, as I do
am too.
every year.
Now, last year was my first. Met a lot of cool people.
Yes.
And had a great time, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
And
Lovely time.
I was brand new to SHR
To all of
Media.
this.
And you guys, it was sort of a semi-triumphal return, because I'd been in terrestrial radio many years ago. And SHR was kind enough to allow me to come back and broadcast over your airwaves, so to speak.
And we worked your ass off that week. Quite a bit, actually.
Yes, I came back, and the first thing the wife said, "Hey, you look assless."
Yes. What happened to it?
Yeah.
And for rightfully so. When I say that we put you through the grind, we kind of did. So, and it's funny, so for people that don't maybe remember or don't know, it really started off, BZ, you were just coming to kind of check it out.
I didn't even have a show.
Right.
I had nothing. I had air.
And even at that, sometimes you didn't really have it.
Well, I've been accused of that for quite some time.
But it was definitely an activity of like, hey, check this out. We hope you're going to enjoy it. And we'll see what happens. And you were like, hell yeah, we're down. We are down to that. We're down to it. We're going to try it. Everything's going to be awesome. Let's go for it. Bam. Right. And then you were like, hey, I don't know any of this stuff. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. I don't know how to. I don't know how to run the software. Can you help me out?
It's all changed. All of it has changed.
Yes.
When I was initially into radio, at least around here in California, everything was Sparta. Sparta board, Sparta carts, Sparta decks, Sparta turntables. Everything was analog. You had big knobs that you'd turn to adjust your volume on your microphone. There no sliders, no software. Carts looked like 8 tracks.
Yes.
And that's how you ran a radio show. Everything was physical. You had to physically put the record on the platter, put the tone arm. God, there's a term, tone arm.
Wow.
God, when was the last time I said tone arm?
Probably
in public? Probably 30 years ago.
Probably 30 years ago.
But it's all changed. It's all laptops and computer screens and USB ports and the board. Now, the board to me over there, the physical board, is comforting to me because that's a physical piece of equipment that I can actually manipulate and I can see it because I'm a visual kind of guy.
Right.
But software, some of that stuff,
not so much.
Yeah, me and software, we're all right. Dave Milner says in chat, mark one word, Tascam. Yep, Tascam.
You remember
That's
that one
correct.
too?
Yep. And then we had, at KFPK where I worked, we had huge, massive, in the production room, you had 2 huge Ampex reel-to-reel recorders where if you wanted to edit, you physically took the tape, put it on the edit bar, and you had a razor blade. This is how backwards it was. You had a razor blade, and you either made a vertical cut or a diagonal cut if you wanted to merge more readily. And then you physically took a piece of white tape and taped the edit, and that's how you edited
You're
in the
kidding me.
production room.
You legitimately edited.
Yes, you were physically editing sound in the production room.
Man, you are old.
I know. and I had more fun in the production room than a man should be allowed to have.
Why am I not shocked by that
In his
BZ?
life.
I don't know why.
It was grand. I almost liked creating spots and promos and sound beds and whatnot. I almost liked doing that better than actually radio itself. And now, if I wanted to do something, I mean, it's all what's the one that you use? I use it also. It begins with an A for editing.
Oh, Audacity.
Audacity.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm starting to learn Audacity.
Which is a great program.
Which is a good program. My wife knows how to run it better than I do. All those commercials that I've got.
Which is just funny to me.
Which, guess who edited those? Oh, that's right. BZ's wife.
The boss.
Thank you, dear.
The boss.
Hey, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people in chat.
Let's go for 30.
I'm up with that.
Let's just try it, see what happens.
We should go for 30. We got White Mamba. We got HP Pundit, who is Dan Butcher. Look, there's Sackhead Sean.
I
We've
mean,
got
I am
Kerry.
in there.
We got Dave. We got Mike. And guest 1716.
Always better than 1715.
That's an upgrade. So we had 1715 on for, in my opinion, way too long.
Right.
And now we've got 1716,
Yes.
who is a much better guest. So thank you, 1716, for being here on the show. We appreciate it.
It makes a big difference, doesn't it?
It's a gradient. It's an exponential explosion, so to speak. And off to my right.
Yeah. You can't see him yet. I'm still working on getting the video up. I'm doing that as we speak, and
That's
I
right.
apologize for the delay. But, normally there's a loudmouth, big nose, some bitch sitting there.
Right.
A man I haven't seen in months, and I don't even know if he exists anymore.
We're crossing our phalanges and thinking that, yes, we're going to see him.
And when I have a stand-in for him for the evening.
You
and
do.
If I get the video up, it'll be well worth it. And once I do that, I'll be happier because then I can move on. That's really the whole reason I'm putting this much effort into the video right now. I'm just saying.
Yeah, see, that's the other thing, with all the plugs and the cords and everything, it's really difficult. I'm glad you run that stuff because to track down all those cords and all that stuff
Right.
Is pretty damn amazing.
You get used to it. It's fine. It's fine. You get used to it. I'm trying to. I'm just trying to make some things a little bit better here and there.
Dave in chat asked, "Is that Kelly or Kelly?" And actually, it's Carrie. Carrie Baxter Donovan.
Yes, it is.
In
Carrie.
chat. That's who Happet 1776 is.
And yeah.
Oh, and Carrie says, "Is he cute?" The stand-in. Well, Carrie, as soon as Sean happens to somehow get the camera working over there, you will see
just how
cute that particular individual is.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be psyched. You're really just gonna be.
Dave
psyched.
Milner says he uses WavePad. Have you ever heard of WavePad for editing? I have not.
I have not either.
Dave says Audacity is okay though. Well, okay, it's the only one I know how to work on right now, and I'm learning.
Right, and hopefully, well, there we go. Hey, look, there's BZ.
And White Mamba says, I'm waiting for 1717. She's much hotter than 1715.
Oh, man.
That's kind of disparaging.
You know what? I am not going to sit here and allow 1716
to be spoken like
not
that.
Not at all, not on my watch. This isn't going to happen. Not going to happen. By the way, we are officially broadcasting live on both. It actually looks like both YouTube and maybe even Facebook. So that's there.
Facebook too.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to work. I kind of set it up. Listen, I'm just learning. Oh, hey, how are you? I'm just learning this video stuff, so you got to give me a little bit of a break, right?
Well, like I told people yesterday on the show, I said I tried to experiment a little bit last night in the YouTube thing, and I had everything what I considered to be semi set up, and then I didn't know where to go for the final button to be pushed, and you showed me where that was today,
yes.
And all the little fields that I have to fill out. So I'm going to try, fingers crossed, to see if I can do the YouTube thing tomorrow.
And we'll see. I don't know.
But I'm not wearing a tie.
Not a tie.
I wore a suit or a uniform all my entire damn life. I'm not wearing a suit, another suit, or another uniform again, ever, period.
Okay.
And obviously that kind of, as you see, goes along with perhaps hair and beard.
Beard and hair, yes.
And toe hair.
And that was...
Wait! Toe hair!
Yes, I knew this was... So, I didn't know what it was.
Do you guys want me to ask them about toe hair? Anyone? Bueller? Well, can I tell them what actually happened last week?
You can, but first things first, I just want to make sure that everyone has a decent view of Clint stand-in. So if you go to YouTube right now, there is a photo up right now on YouTube. That is actually our Clint stand-in.
Right.
Even says my name is Clint.
Yes. And
so
notice the resemblance.
Yeah, the giant nose. You'll notice also that there is no resemblance to anybody else except for Clint.
Oh, no, that is not you. I can tell you that right now.
Right, that's not you.
That's not even close to you.
No other person alive, actually.
No.
No other person alive whatsoever. That person, I don't know. That's just what Clint looks like. And if he shows up later, we'll get him on camera and you'll be able to see it.
That's right. That is the most uncanny, close resemblance to Clint I think I've seen. And I've seen photographs of Clint.
I would have to agree with you.
As a matter of fact, I had a blog. Well, I still have my blog, Bloviating Zeppelin.net. And I documented a whole bunch of photographs and whatnot, all the delicious activities that were occurring last year in SHR. And I published photographs of you and Ken and Clint, etc. And anybody that goes back to bloviatingzeppelin.net and you enter Freedom Fest and the search thing, you're going to find all those photographs. You're going to determine that representation of Clint right there is just like Clint.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And I'm, you know what? I'm really, really glad we were able to find that because on nights like tonight, when we need everybody at the helm, and I know I'm getting a little bounce on my camera. I'm working on it. We need everyone at the helm. We're fortunate enough, if you will, to have a stand-in like that for Clint. So I'm just saying, this is how we roll here at Sackheads.
I think it's absolutely perfect.
Hey, it's already the 31st of May. We're about to cross into the 6th month.
And it was beautiful out there tonight.
It was one of the most lovely nights we've had
I
in a
don't
while.
know, because Sackhead Sean and I got together just before the show. We sat down and we talked about SHR and a whole bunch of other stuff. And we sat down outside next to a Starbucks, and we had the
Whole bunch of
black
other stuff.
iced tea lemonade
Yes.
from Starbucks.
Yes.
And we had the talls, and it was gorgeous out there. Beautiful breeze. Wasn't even 80 degrees, maybe 75 degrees. We're sitting in the shade because somebody stupid here has melanoma, can't stand out in the heat anymore. But in any event, God, it was great out there tonight.
Yeah, no, it was gorgeous out, wasn't it?
So that's why we kept it out. And yes, Dave Milner, I did sit next to Starbuck. And the reason I knew that I sat next to Starbuck is because he was the guy with the massive whale flensing tool.
Oh, that's Starbuck.
Right. So that's and the funny cap, and that's why I sat next to him.
Beady.
I liked the second Battlestar Galactica much better. Oh wait, no, that's not Battlestar Galactica. That's Buck Rogers.
Yes.
In the 21st century.
Yes.
That's right, Buck.
I
Who did the voice for that?
God, you would have to ask me that. I don't know.
Famous voice artist.
I really don't know.
Okay, I'm going to leave it to everybody in chat.
Oh no.
He was the voice artist for damn near every Warner Brothers cartoon. First name starts with an M.
It's Mel Blanc.
There you go, Mel Blanc.
Well, that was really Mel Blanc. I did not know that.
Yep. Bitty. That's right, Buck.
That's right. That was Buck Rogers. Why did I get those two confused?
I don't know.
I don't know either. At my age, it's just.
But if you guys haven't seen the second Battlestar Galactica with Edward James Olmos.
Yeah, that was really good.
That was a great series. So much better than the first. It's not even funny, which is why there's a complete lack of laughter going on.
Yeah.
Right now.
Well, the first one obviously was made in the 70s, early 80s. They were very, very limited on what they could do. It was definitely decent for its time, right? I mean, we can argue that. I think that's fair to say. But it just wasn't all that. There was just a little something missing.
No, and here's a funny bit of trivia. If you happen to look at some of the original Star Treks from 66, 67, 68,
Yep.
the original series, they were shot on film. And if you have a good enough TV and you play them now, or you get them on DVD, you're actually looking at all the information that was there on the film that the TVs at the time didn't have the capability to reproduce. And if you go back and look at the original series, the films are shocking in their clarity and their color and their saturation. They're absolutely gorgeous to watch. But, I mean, they're corny as hell. The special effects are terrible. And you can see how a lot of the things in the Enterprise hallway are sort of glued
Yes.
onto the side of the hallway.
Yes.
And it's amusing to look at their papier-mâché rocks. And the Gorn with the really terrible, huge, massive eyes throwing papier-mâché boulders at William Shatner, who, by the way,
We'll be at
is
Freedom
going
Fest.
to be at Freedom Fest.
Nice segue.
And by the way, if you guys like Greg Gutfeld, and I enjoy watching his show, he's going to be at Freedom Fest. The Libertarian, who's John Stossel,
Yes.
is going to be at Freedom Fest, whom I understand is a raving asshole.
I don't know.
That's just what I've heard.
Well, and we can prove it when we get
Yeah,
there.
when we get there. I'm sorry to say I saw just a bit of Judge Napolitano's shindig last year. And if you haven't seen Judge Napolitano speak extemporaneously,
Oh, my goodness.
he's wonderful.
Oh.
He is fabulous.
And the man's really,
He's highly intelligent.
Really dialed.
Speaks oh so well.
really dialed.
Man, that was impressive.
It was. So that's Freedom Fest. And we're looking forward
Hey,
to it.
Kel Fritzy, are you in chat here? Somebody said, hi, Kel.
And if you want to get in chat, you can go to shrmedia.com. Also, tomorrow being June the 1st, and the video is going to come back in a second, The end of June, July 2nd, we're going to have some big scheduling changes here at SHR Media. Just go back to shrmedia.com on a fairly regular basis. You can click on the schedule to see as it updates it.
Now, you said July 2nd? Is that when that happens?
July 2nd is when we should start rolling into the different scheduling and updates and stuff like that. So we're pretty excited about that. And we're also adding SHR TV. So if you go to shrmedia.com, more and more shows, including ours, if I can ever, figure this crap out.
It's a work in progress.
I know
okay?
it's
like
only
easy.
week 3. It's only week 3.
I'm a work in progress.
You are. I'll tell you what. Yes, you are. And don't you ever sell yourself short
Ask
again.
me, poor sainted mother.
Yeah. Mine too. So more and more shows are going to be adding. I think Jersey Joe's coming back this week with his video. Melanie's been.
That's right. Jersey Joe used to be live on YouTube, was he not?
All the time. Yep. And all that's going to come back. So we're doing some great advances. And again, I have to really thank Mr. Butcher, Danny Butcher, for all the great work he's doing, helping us out on the SHR webpage. So I just
let's see, is Dan in chat? Yes, he is.
And he's going to make a comment.
And Dan, I have to tell you this. I have to tell you this publicly because, let's see, last night I finally remembered what I did, and I didn't even think about it. I double posted my show. When at the conclusion of my show, because I didn't get onto SHR, I just went over to the create your post side, and just like normal, I created my my post for the show last night for the Tuesday night show.
Right.
And Dan had beat me to it, so essentially I double posted the show.
How did you do that?
Because I didn't look on the face page of SHR to see if it had been done.
See
so
if it was already there?
Dan, I have to tell you. That's why it happened, and that's why it got posted over there. So I apologize from me to you. I hadn't seen this coming, so that's, if you want to know why it got kind of messed up, well, you can point your finger back at me. Cause
I always point my finger at you, to be completely honest.
It was me.
I always point my finger to you. You wouldn't believe how much stuff on a fairly regular basis, even outside of the studio, that I blame on you.
Most of the things that occur can be traced back to me.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I roll with it.
No, that's absolutely true.
At work the other day, I was late on something, and I was like, you got to talk to BZ.
Yeah.
He screwed this shit way up.
He's the guy that kept me from
way
doing
up. Yeah.
exactly that.
Yeah, this was all his fault, and I don't even know. I don't know what you
want
from
then the
me.
email, I didn't tell you this, but I got an email from Hillary Clinton.
Oh.
And because she eschewed everything else, obviously she's not responsible.
Ever.
And so I got finally the email from her that I knew I was going to get sooner or later. And she did, in fact, blame me for her failed campaign. And she would be partially right.
Well, on some level, right? I mean, yeah, a little bit. I'm just saying, I'm not saying it was you, BZ, but I'm not saying it wasn't either. How's that?
You're being nice, thank you.
Hey, I do what I can. Video is back up on YouTube, so if you have a chance, go to our SHR Media page or go to our YouTube page and subscribe and follow us, please. The more subscribers we get, the better. You'll get a notification every single time one of the SHR Media broadcasts live to YouTube, so make sure you check that out as well.
And if you guys do subscribe, I want to be honest and upfront. When you subscribe, Sean and Clint get those tickets to those little things where you go up to the box and you have a little crane and you've got stuffed animals down there, and they get a free ticket to that. So then they work the crane and they drop the little thing down, they grab the stuffed animal, and they get to take a stuffed animal home. So help save a stuffed animal.
Yes.
And subscribe to the YouTube channel because Sean and Clint both benefit like that. They don't have, quite frankly, enough stuffed animals in their home. And they would like more. Just saying.
Okay. You know what? I do want more. If I could have another stuffed animal in my house, I think that would be amazing.
Think of all the things you could do with it. They make great dog toys.
Yes. Stuffed animal hell. Someday I'll explain it all. Someday, BZ. Someday I'll get there.
Yep.
I love, and you can't see this because you don't have the YouTube player up, but
no, I don't.
Right now I have the 3 cameras in our logo playing, so it's me, you, and standing Clint. Clint, C-L-I-N-T, people. A couple people have made that mistake already. There it is. There you go. What was that, Clint? Just how I like him. That's really where I wanted him this whole time.
You got him exactly where you want him.
Yeah. He's finally the volume that I want him at this entire time. This is what I needed. And we finally got it, and I'm appreciative.
You can control. Who says that you can't control speech? Whoever sits at the board over there controls speech.
You know what?
I've had myself cut off on prior occasions by certain personnel.
And who exactly was that personnel?
That
would probably be. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah,
what?
That's what I thought. Because I saw your left hand reach over there. I know what you're doing.
I couldn't hear a word. A word coming out of your mouth. It was weird. But next time you want to talk about it freely, let me know and we'll discuss you getting cut off.
Okay.
I don't want that to be an issue here.
All right. After the break, when we come back, I'd like to reveal where the two of you were last week.
Yes.
Because instead of the normal Sackheads show, we had the 1/3 Sackheads show. Plus, we had Jersey Joe on, who was a wonderful individual and very kind for coming in.
It really helped us out, I'm not going to lie. And Joe, if you're listening tonight, I know you're up early for your show in the morning, but if you're listening tonight, I really appreciate it. You just did a great job, buddy.
He did. He's a trooper. Joe says he's not necessarily a morning person. His show starts at 11 my time, so that's 8 his time.
Yeah.
And so because he's not a morning person, he gets up at 7 o'clock, and all he does between 7 and 8 when the show starts is knock back coffee and Red Bulls.
And it's back to back. That's the funniest thing. So I've talked to Joe while he's prepping for his show, and I've never heard so much liquid go down a gullet in my life. Hey, I just picture. Have you ever
like
seen
the Hoover Dam spillway when it gets used?
Yes, or Google Lake Berryessa glory hole.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah, recently, as a matter of fact.
That's scary.
Yeah, and that's what it sounded like. Just a real sound where it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough. I love Joe.
And if Lake Berryessa has a glory hole, can you imagine the appendage that fits that hole? Holy Mother of God.
I don't want to, only because I'd like to sleep again.
Yeah, true.
I'm just saying, you sick old bastard.
I know. I know. There's a ton of stuff to talk about. We can make fun. Here's the other thing. We get to make fun of leftists tonight as well.
All night.
Because they've handed themselves over on a platter to us. So we must make fun of leftists.
And we're going to do that
tonight.
after the break, as a matter of fact, which will be just lovely.
I'm all for it.
And we have topics up the yin-yang. I know we kind of jacked around the first couple minutes. I was trying to fix the video, and I think for the most part it's okay for the night. But, yeah, we're excited about it. So stick around here on the Sackheads Radio Show live in the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Mim from Freedom Fest, the world's largest gathering of free minds. Join your friends from SHR Media at the beautiful Paris Resort in Las Vegas, Nevada, July 19th through the 22nd for 3 amazing days of liberty-oriented discussion, investment advice, and the Anthem Film Festival. It's our big 10th anniversary, featuring keynote speaker William Shatner and Freedom Fest favorites, including Steve Forbes, Jim Rogers, Lee Edwards, David Boaz, Doug Casey, Dinesh D'Souza, John Stossel, Lisa Kennedy, Grover Norquist, Peter Schiff, and many more. Don't miss out. Register at freedomfest.com for $100 off the regular registration rate when you use the all-caps code SHR Media.
The Bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet. Via the glorious SHR Media. Gird thy loins for the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Coming soon to Ossicles near you. Excelsior.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Never looks better. Ooh. I'll try on my new hat for a bit, BC, I think. Look at that. There we go. There we go, huh? Nice new hat.
Looks very dark.
Thank you.
What are you going to put on it? What kind of patches? Or have you decided yet?
I have a couple patches that were gifted to me from other people that I'm going to put them on.
Patches, I'm dependent on your son to pull the family through. Patches, it's all up to you.
Wow. Every once in a while, my friend. You know what the other thing, too, is, and I know it's because you guys are around, I had my little canister full of Hershey's Kisses that's now empty that I suspect...
Okay, now, let me tell you one thing, though.
Okay.
Despite
I need those to get through the show.
Despite looking at me...
I need them.
I don't eat those.
No?
No. No, I honestly don't consume your Hershey's Kisses. Although to look at me, you'd think
somebody's been eating them.
The precise opposite.
Somebody's been eating them. Clint, no. Okay.
Yeah, he's very silent about that. Have you noticed?
I know.
Melanie Collette is in chat.
Yay!
So welcome to Melanie. Good to see you.
Welcome. Let's get down to a topic, would you? I think it's time. Where do you want to start? Should we go right into, because we missed Kathy Griffin in the first section. We were going to talk about that. And I do want to get your feedback there, BZ, because it's I could just imagine your rage with this. I don't know why. I have rage with it as well, but
if you haven't seen, and I use the term loosely, comedian Kathy Griffin, for whatever damn reason, she thought it was a good idea to stand and have a photograph taken with a right hand holding the severed head of Donald Trump. And there's no mistaking it at all.
Depiction.
It looks like what it means to be. It looks like the severed head of Donald Trump.
Right.
I mean, you got the orange hair, you've got, and literally, blood is completely covering the face. You can see it's a severed head. What's the point of that? I just don't get it.
Well, and in this day and age, I hate to say it, one of the first things that I thought of when I saw the picture, as horrendous as it is, one of the very first things that I thought of was how many beheadings have we seen on national media with ISIS over the last 4 years? And they released the YouTube videos, they released all these other videos. And I'm not being overly dramatic. I'm sure some people say I am. But that was the first thing that I thought of. It was like, it looks like she It looks like one of the ISIS killings.
It looks,
and
don't you think though that was the exact point?
Yes,
because it says that I think she sent it on a tweet.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "I captioned this. There was blood coming out of his eyes, blood coming out of his whatever."
Yeah,
and that's a reference to something that he said last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but what possibly makes anyone think that this is even remotely funny or amusing in any way, shape, or form? So as a result, let's see, that was yesterday. We discovered that today she no longer has a gig on CNN. For once, a leftist organization seems to have some sense to it.
Yes.
In terms of now holding her at arm's length. And isn't she on some kind of a show during the day?
She filled in on some other shows. She was on.
Was she on The View?
I don't know if she was.
She was on another show, if I'm not mistaken, either The View or similar to The View. And now it makes me wonder if that was a weekly occurrence. Then does she still have that gig?
I don't.
And
know.
if so, why?
So here's the thing, and I know that we're specifically talking about Kathy Griffin, and she's a mildly funny comedian at best sometimes. She's more obnoxious than anything else.
I would have to go with the obnoxious word.
She had the occasional punchline. I never thought she was as great as everyone made her out to be. But, it's another escalation on the left to push towards this violence. You look at this president and the amount of idle and subtle threats and not so subtle threats.
Oh, just after he got elected,
Mm-hmm.
I put a particular post up which listed tweet after tweet after tweet after tweet about people saying they either wanted or were going to assassinate Donald Trump.
Oh, well, and then you go to
every time I came across one, I'd copy that over to the U.S. Secret Service.
Well, and then you looked at, you had Madonna threatening to blow up the White House or wanting the White House. There was some other famous person that said something.
Ashley Judd.
Yeah, I don't remember these idiots all the time, but somebody else really wanted to made another comment. And it brings me back, and I know we could easily go down the argument of like what would have happened if this was with President Obama. That's an easy argument to make. We all know what would happen. The left would have gone insane. People would have been arrested, prosecuted,
and they would have said it was all about the black guy,
right?
When in fact, melanin would have had nothing to do with it.
Right. But they would have went crazy. Right, they just would have exploited that as this racist conservatives blah 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 blah, and then here we are. Now the left, through all of their more violent rhetoric since he was getting close to being elected, and certainly since after he was elected, this rhetoric has continued to escalate and escalate and escalate. And now you have 2 million followers of Kathy Griffin who gets this Twitter picture of her holding the depiction of the president with his head severed.
Let's see. What is it that said in Hollywood? Oh, that's right. Any publicity is good publicity.
Exactly. And on top of it all, it also meets the narrative, right? I mean, these are people... These are people who have zero issue now going to violence to upset free speech, offset free speech, protest elections. So you want to protest an election because you're not happy who's elected, great. But these people have gone to pure violence over that. Property damage. And now you have celebrities, people who have a moral, on some level, I believe, some sort of moral responsibility, right? When you have that much of a public following, you have somewhat of a moral responsibility, in my opinion. The problem is they don't have morals. You can argue with the other side. You could obviously you can make jokes about the other side, right, Clint? Oh, okay. There's certain things that you can do. You can use real satire. You can use anything you want verbally. But when you depict violence, call for violence, execute violence, you are, we talked about this, 3 weeks ago? They are becoming the fascist brown shirts.
Well, as you and I think, have both stated in the past, Antifa has its history in black. And what they originally came from was following the 1939 Hitler beer hall putsch, in which literally his brown shirts began to come into power. Antifa was pushback on the brown shirts, and they were, in fact, anti-fascists at the time. That's their history.
Right.
Which is accurate. Now, Antifa is nothing more than anarchists.
Yes.
They're just doing it because it's fun. It's amusing. They're young. And they like to blow up shite and set things on fire and break windows, vandalize other people's property. Certainly not their own.
No.
Can you imagine what would happen, for example, if you came up to one of these little snowflakes and broke their iPad?
Or knocked over their Starbucks.
Yes, that too. Oh, here's a delicious little juicy tip, by the way. The professor, and I can't remember the name of the school that he where he was a professor, and he was the guy with the big U-lock, the bicycle lock in Berkeley.
Yes.
That hit another kid on the head. He was actually arrested last week for 245 PC, which in California is assault with a deadly weapon. That's a felony. So, to you, Professor, this bud's for you.
For those who are listening, BZ just flipped off the camera, which you can see on YouTube on SHR Media. Go to click on SHR TV. Reactions, strong reactions out of the chat room.
Melanie says, don't mess with Apple products.
We do not joke about the destruction of Apple products. You take that back. It's important, folks. You can see the fury this is causing throughout our nation, the rift, right? I mean, we're now to the point where we can't even joke about Apple products.
I know, that's true.
It's horrific.
Dan in the chat room said that Kathy Griffin looks like Raggedy Ann on meth in her apology video.
Oh, that was horrible. Did you watch that? It was like a 30-second...
No.
So you have this picture...
And then Melanie said she did that purposely. She wanted to be seen as a sympathy figure with no makeup.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you. You have this 30-second video that was put out in response to this horrific picture. And it was not even really heartfelt. You could tell she was reading off a cue card. And that's what I said when I saw that picture is she's intentionally making herself like weak and strung out and exhausted.
She's pitiable.
I bet dollars to donuts. And I don't like to bet my donuts, that she's going to check into a goddamn rehab in the next week. I guarantee it.
Really? No, that's interesting. Now, I hadn't thought of that.
Yep.
But that does make...
That's how celebrities
in its own crazy,
recover.
Convoluted way, it makes its own strange sense.
Right. I mean, how many rehabs go... rehabs. How many celebrities go that route, right? Where all of a sudden they screw up, you look at... What is going on?
Carrie Baxter Donovan said, Squatty Potty also fired her. She isn't going to have a bucket to crap in. I'm sorry. That's funny.
You know you're kicking ass when you're the Squatty Potty rep.
Jeez.
Oh, man. You know what's funny? So I was reading I'm going to go on a Squatty Potty rant. I was reading the news release from Squatty Potty, and they had to put in that they've sold over 4 million products in America. And I just laughed at that. Like, of all the things that you have to bring up is how many Squatty Potties are in America's bathroom. I'm just saying. If you don't know what a Squatty Potty is, Google it. I'm not going to tell you.
That's right. Well, I'm not going to describe it, and I bet you don't want to.
There's a lot of things on this show I will say I don't need to go into the Squatty Potty. However, Say the word squatty potty, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and picture what you think it might be.
That's
and you're
right.
probably
you're
right.
Probably very, very close.
BZ, any charges going to come out of this with Kathy?
That's interesting. It says the image caught the attention of the Secret Service. Initially, the agency did not cite the image in any of its tweets. But in response to Twitter users sending the image to its account, and that's, like I said, when anybody would threaten assassination of President Trump, I would retweet it to the United States Secret Service because I figured that's part of my duty as being an American. But basically, they sent that image to the
We're
the
talking
secret...
duty, squatty potty.
Yeah,
go.
get it?
Just
Yeah.
go. Just go. Don't let me have that moment.
That went to the Secret Service, and the Secret Service, this is what they actually tweeted. The Secret Service tweeted Tuesday afternoon on it. At Secret Service has a robust protective intelligence division that monitors open source reporting and social media to evaluate threats. An hour later, the agency then tweeted, threats made against at Secret Service protectees receive the highest priority of all of our investigations.
Yes.
Hashtag protection never rests. Folks, I think that's called a clue.
Yeah. I think
And
it is.
leftists aren't getting it.
I
How much of an imbecile would you have to be, me, you, to get onto any form of social media and say that you want to threaten or assassinate any protectee of the Secret Service with all those people sending out tweets, Facebook, etc., that they wanted to kill President Trump?
And for the record, on this show for years, we've been saying, under the last president as well, unacceptable. Under any president, unacceptable.
No.
Unacceptable. This is beyond atrocious. This is beyond horrific. And I commend our adversaries on the left. I know people, our friends on the left.
Yeah, they're not my friends.
They're kind of adversaries. Political adversaries, right? Because a lot of people have come out and condemned her very, very quickly, which was good because, you know what, silence says a lot of things, and a lot of people could have actually went silent on this.
Silence is tacit condemnation, meaning, hey, as far as you're concerned, this is just peachy nifty.
Right. Everything's okie dokie.
But how much of a ridiculous bint do you have to be if you're going to take to social media? Everyone knows who you are, and then you do that. You proffer a picture of the President of the United States.
Yes.
Or of anyone, much less a protectee of the Secret Service.
Right.
To say that you're going to, in today's day and age, to advertise yourself like that, how brain-glazingly, stultifyingly dead are you? In your wheelhouse, you're dead. And still, again, the only reason that she did this because she was caught, I'm certain that she thought the reaction that would be forthcoming soon would be, yay, way to go, Kathy
All right,
Griffin,
Kathy.
you're fabulous. Right on, you go, girl.
Yeah,
It
not
didn't
so much.
exactly turn out that way.
Not so much.
So your point about going to rehab, you might have a very interesting point. So it'll be I'd really like to see where this is going to be in about another week or so to see if that's the direction that she's going to take. And if she does, it's all about her victimology.
Yes.
She's the victim. She's put upon. Poor Kathy Griffin. How sad that she was treated that way when that was meant to be funny.
Yeah.
You can't take that seriously.
That was horrific.
That was so damn funny. Let's all laugh. To the point where somewhere after that this week, Baron Trump, when he saw the photo, somehow he may have seen it, thought for a time his dad may have been dead. Now, what? And that's true, but I'm sure there are leftists out there thinking this. Screw that kid. He's the progeny of Donald Trump. Whatever bad happens to him, screw him. He deserves it. He's part of the Trump clan. As far as I'm concerned, the gloves are off. He deserves everything he gets. If he thought his dad was killed, yippee, good for us.
Yeah, and
I'm sure there are people thinking that.
Listen, I don't remember exactly who it was, but you remember somebody somebody called him like an animal killer, the 11-year-old kid.
Oh, that was another controversy with him.
Right, and that
How ridiculous that you have to pick on a child. You pick on somebody who is completely defenseless.
Right. And that's what it comes down to. Listen, the left has gotten to the point where as many people are publicly condemning this, there are that many people who are privately celebrating. And on social media as well.
I'm sure they are. I have no interest in finding them, but you and I both know they exist.
Oh, I'd like to find them. That's just merely for my own purposes.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm sure they're out there.
I always say there are some people who would benefit greatly from 10 minutes in a room.
Certainly.
You know?
It's Beezy's. It's Beezy's problem solution.
Yes.
I have an axiom.
Absolutely.
Damn near for anything.
And if you're one of those people who, if you think that's okay on any level, to do to any human being, right? That's the other thing. Yes, it's the president as a nation, as a symbol of our nation. It's huge. It's important. I understand the gravity of that. But any human being, I understand stage, acting, screen. I understand that. But to depict that against any other human being living, and I'm sorry, I don't care what Kathy Griffin says. I don't care what anybody says. There was intent behind that photo.
Carrie in chat says that they're posting it. Yes, they're posting that on Twitter. I will send you the posts, Sean.
Yeah, please.
If you have them, hey, retweet them over to me. Carrie, I'd love to see them. I know they're going to be terrible. I'd like to see them anyway. Because what the hell, I might just post them on my blog myself. Beezy's problem-solving axiom, by the way, goes like this. There isn't any problem in the world that can't be solved by one of two things.
Here we go, I like it.
Vodka
Uh-huh.
or a throat punch. Think about it.
Yeah, we can go with throat punch. See, I'm one of those people I like to... creativity sometimes comes to mind. And with certain people, you just have to be a little bit more creative. Now, a throat punch is beautifully effective, right? It gets the problem. It gets your point across.
It does. It's brief and it doesn't really cost you anything.
Right. It's very, very easy. But sometimes, I say use your imagination with certain people. Yeah, you just got to get the best out of it. That's just me, though. Because if you're already going to go to a throat punch, right? Let's loosen some legs on a chair. You know what I mean? Like, you might as well make it funny. Enjoy yourself.
Well, see, while you're thinking legs on a chair, you could also immediately follow up with, lug nuts.
Oh, yeah, yes. Yes.
Brake lines.
Oh, I'm just saying.
Not that I said that.
No, and we don't condone that either by any stretch of the imagination.
Nope.
I'm saying if you're one of those people, be creative. In my humble opinion. But what do I know? I don't know anything. I don't.
I'll tell you what. Some of the finest group of creative people can be police officers or deputy sheriffs on graveyard when they're bored out of their mind and they don't have enough calls to handle. Boy, can they be creative. You're just going to have to trust me on that one.
You know who else is creative? And I've seen this in the past. And ER nurses at busy hospitals.
Oh, okay, all right. After you do that, I've got a story. I have a story.
Go ahead. How do we get into this?
I don't know. But it's great. It's like a stream of consciousness.
A very serious topic, and now we're just talking stupidity.
It's stream of consciousness here on Sackheads Radio Day on Wednesday. Anyway, I found out early. Don't piss off the ER staff.
Oh, yes.
And it happened this way. In my district, myself and another deputy named Steve, we were always sent to this one particular group home where this one particular chick would always make sort of semi-half-hearted attempts to commit suicide just because she was a loon.
Right.
All right?
Or attention.
Right. And so you've kind of got that settled in. You know how that goes. So one day we go there. And this time she'd made more than a serious attempt. She'd actually slit her wrists radially. And it looked like railroad tracks. And that's what we call them. When you're a cop, and you can almost primarily see this on women. When they do this, you'll see railroad tracks up the arm, et cetera, et cetera. Guys, when they commit suicide, they'll just put a gun in their mouth and boom, they'll do it, and it's over. Women are entirely different and creative. So we take it to the ER. Then en route, she's in the back of Steve's car. She produces another razor blade.
Oh, gosh.
And starts hacking on her wrists again. So now we've got to run code 3, luckily to the hospital, which wasn't all that terribly far. We get to there. There's a doctor, very sympathetic, and he takes probably 2 hours or more to sew up all these wounds that she's inflicted on herself due to this apparently very, very sharp razor blade. You know, Steve learned a very valuable lesson about that when you put people in the back of your car also. A very important lesson to be learned. The very next day, on the shift in District 4, we get another call. He and I are sent as a team to the same house with the same woman. She'd done it again. Only this time she'd cut over the beautiful stitching that this doctor had taken 2 hours the previous day to do. And it was a work of art. I have to say, I looked at it. His stuff was a work of art. So we bring her to the same hospital, and lo and behold, the same doctor is there. He takes her to another room, and then after that, all we hear is, ow, 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 and then she starts yelling. And she's accepted. We take her over to the loony bin across the way for a 5150 hold on her. And I asked the doctor about a couple of minutes later. I went back and I said, hey, what's happened? I got to find out what happened. And he was a little pissed off that she'd ruined his artwork.
Yeah.
And guess what? For the stitching, no local.
Oh, well, you know, she wouldn't cooperate.
Don't piss off ER personnel.
Ever.
That's a clue.
Ever. I have seen some creative ER personnel, and especially when they know you're gaming the system.
Oh, yes.
So I heard a story, and this goes back to a friend of mine who is a police officer back east. And he brought in a guy for charges that were pretty heinous, and he was not being cooperative. And they brought him in because he ended up getting hit in the head a few times by his victim with the frying pan, so they had to have him checked out. Long story short, he must have had some sort of internal bleeding issues because they ordered a catheter instead of a head scan. And they were short.
Those are diametrically opposed locales on the human body.
They must have been short on the appropriate size catheters.
Oh!
Every guy in this room just fell out of his... Everybody listening right now, YouTube.
Oh, that's
Spreaker,
cringeworthy. Absolutely cringeworthy.
They just all fell. And from what I was told, the nurse of 20-something years was very forward in her approach.
Do you think?
To our friends who do work in the ER and the medical staff, we do appreciate you guys and how hard you work. And they really are lifesavers. The people that get them to the hospital and the people once they get treated there, because medics don't have it easier.
Oh, no.
No.
People that are in the emergency response field, be they, fire personnel, law enforcement, doctors, nurses, any kind of a critical incident responder, paramedics, etc. Talk to one and find out they will have stories for you that are unending.
Before we go to break, Carrie Donovan in the chat room says, hey, BZ, next time I see you, I'm going to braid your beard. This is what she's thinking about when she's watching YouTube. I'm all for it, Carrie. Hey, we're up against the break, folks. When we come back, we have so much more to get into. House Intel committees, media ignoring Venezuela, which I think I want to get right into. That's kind of a big story.
Yeah, it's a Very big story.
All
today.
that and more right here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Mim from Freedom Fest, the world's largest gathering of free minds. Join your friends from SHR Media at the beautiful Paris Resort in Las Vegas, Nevada, July 19th through the 22nd for 3 amazing days of liberty-oriented discussion, investment advice, and the Anthem Film Festival. It's our big 10th anniversary, featuring keynote speaker William Shatner and Freedom Fest favorites, including Steve Forbes, Jim Rogers, Lee Edwards, David Boaz, Doug Casey, Dinesh D'Souza, John Stossel, Lisa Kennedy, Grover Norquist, Peter Schiff, and many more. Don't miss out. Register at freedomfest.com for $100 off the regular registration rate when you use the all-caps code SHR Media.
The Bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet. Via the glorious SHR Media. Gird thy loins for the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Coming soon to Ossicles near you. Excelsior.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we're back at the SHR Media Network, where conservative media is always done right, and now it's time for me to vacate a chair.
Oh, thank you so much, BZ. And we love having you guys here on the SHR Media Network so much that I can almost get back from break on time. Oh, Lord. Hey, let's go down. Ah, God, it gets easier someday, doesn't it, BZ?
It will eventually. You're just going to have to trust me on that one.
Let's go down to our. So we talk about, just in the last segment a little bit, the socialist pact that some people say media has with themselves to just push certain things in certain directions. I'm not even going to argue it. I think it's very much their socialist, leftist agenda that the left has. Let's go down to our friends in Venezuela, who are in the middle of essentially a civil war, a revolution, depending on how you want to look at it. And it's getting bad down there, as a matter of fact. There's zero food. They've devalued their dollar yet again. There is rioting in the streets. A couple weeks ago, I talked about the Venezuelan president as his protection force was using oversized fire hoses to blow down people. He was dancing. It was on video at the same time. And we all know it's a communist socialist nation. We all know that they squandered under Chavez. They squandered all the money they made from the oil. As I mentioned a couple weeks ago, they're literally killing rats for food in hospitals. It's just a terrible, deplorable situation from a country that was essentially a first world country a couple years ago that
Well,
is
and
now
we used-
descending into a third world country.
That used to be, I think, either the number 3 or the number 4 supplier of crude to the United
Yes.
States. That's how massive its influence was at one point. But then 2014 rolled around, 2008 rolled around, and when the rest of the people got involved and the dollar plummeted, the peso plummeted, then they got into the oil glut. And people, the oil prices came crashing down. Well, that really seriously hurt Venezuela, which was tottering on the brink anyway. But here's something very interesting. If you ever go to any leftist sites, etc., there'll be many people, and I've heard them on all sorts of various news shows, who are insistent that Venezuela is not socialist.
Right. And it is 100%
And that-
socialist.
And that Hugo Chavez was not a socialist.
And here's from High Plains pundit, and Dan sent this over to me really quick. In Venezuela, an untold number of protesters have been killed, with thousands wounded or jailed. Inflation is making the bolivar nearly worthless. Venezuelans are down to 2 meals a day, with citizens eating stray dogs that they can be found in zoo animals and racehorses being slaughtered for food. Medicines are increasingly unavailable. Hospital and medical services are declining, resulting in hundreds of babies dying following childbirth. Folks,
It's going like the Weimar economy, where if you had bread to buy,
Yes.
if you had bread to buy in the first place, it would take a literal wheelbarrow of bolivars, if
Yes.
you could get the bread, to purchase
I always
said
think
loaf.
of the $1 trillion Zimbabwe bill I saw a couple years ago. A single bill, $1 trillion.
Hi, I'd like change. Would you like change from your trillion? Yes, you get 1 penny back, 1 peso.
You get a peso. You don't even get a dollar. You get nothing. You get a peso. It's not even our currency.
No, we're not going to give you any bolivars. We're just going to give you a peso.
But that's not even our currency. It's the only thing we got that matches.
That's what we
That's
have.
the only place we can go with
It's
it.
either that or I give you this rock here. I have a smooth, plain rock that I can give you in lieu of the peso. You choose. But here's the other thing when leftists insist that this is not a socialist country. Do you not look at the politics of Venezuela? Do you not realize that there is a socialist party in Venezuela? Are you that blithering stupid? The answer is yes,
Yes.
you are.
Yes,
But here's
you
the
are.
other thing that we have a board over to our my left, Sean's right, which lists the topics for the show.
Mm-hmm.
And this particular topic is the media is absolutely in the tank. And what have you heard, actually, in the media about what's occurring in Venezuela? Damn little. Here's the other thing.
Very, very, very little.
You want to know where I've actually seen coverage on this in depth? On the Vice channel.
Really?
Yes. They went into, there was at least a 1-hour show on the Vice channel of all damn places that illustrated how critical the situation was in Venezuela. And yet when you've got Vice covering this and the mainstream, what I call the American media maggots, are holding it at arm's length, they have, I don't think it's because they are uncaring. I think it's because they don't want to broach the topic of this.
Well,
socialism is an
bad.
astounding, triumphal failure. Name one place where socialism has worked. Go ahead, I'll wait.
Hold on. I'm getting close to it. No,
That's the place.
that's pretty much the place.
Exactly. And each new dictator, each new individual, each country, each new set of dictators, they all think that they can do socialism better than the other guy. And that's what keeps them going. That's what keeps them trying.
Well, and that was the other. We've talked about this with socialism before, and I'll talk about it again. Every couple of years, the new socialists show up. They don't call themselves socialists because they can't do that. And they start rehashing socialist ideas and trying to sell it as leftist agenda.
Well, that's what I loved that about Bernie Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
I value two things in life, honesty and clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Bernie Sanders told us what he really wanted. God bless him for that. He was honest and he was clear.
Yes, very clear.
And he might have gone somewhere, except for the fact that the DNC decided to shoot him down in flames. And the other thing is, if you installed Bernie Sanders as president, all donations to the DNC and anything Democrat-related would dry up because he wants to kill Wall Street. He wants to kill corporations. Where does all that money come from? I think you have your answer. It's not from Biff the Duck down the street sending in $1.
Right.
That don't cut the mustard.
Well, and as well as I do, the scary side of that is how many socialists live in this country currently and don't understand how horrible socialism is.
Well, and then they're ill-educated.
Well, ill-educated, and like I said, they're sold this false sense of values of what it will do. And then when you go back and you look at all the times that communism and socialism has failed repeatedly, time and again, country after country, blah, 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 I could go on forever. They go, oh, well, they just didn't do it right that time. It just wasn't there was a couple things they could have done different.
That's right.
And it would have been fine.
I was in there, I would do it differently,
Right.
and I would make things work. Just like Jerry Dementia Brown in California wants to make California one payer, single payer for insurance.
Yes.
And that's going to go.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it goes.
You cannot. There's nothing in California that you could put on the agenda or the docket, and I'd be shocked if it goes at this point. Right?
Walk into any average California DMV office, see the clowns and baboons behind the desks getting paid a state wage, see how efficient and salacious that might be, and then come back and say, those are the same people that are going to be in charge of your health care in the state of California. Take a number 575. Now calling number 575.
Well, and so you start looking at. I had to go to the DMV yesterday.
Oh, you poor bastard.
Right? I had to go last minute, so I didn't have an appointment. Okay? So I walk in.
Sympathies.
I walk in, and I got my little butcher block ticket, pop it out, and it's B163. So I look up at the board, and I say, well, you don't. So I walked in and checked in, and the woman got it all wrong. Anyhow, I had to do 2 transactions, and she didn't put it on the ticket. So I look, I say B163. I look up at and there's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then different numbers after it. I look at the B's, and they're at 103. So I'm like, all right, 60 B's to go. As I'm looking around the registry, I'm like, but where are they with the A?
Yeah, that's
the
right.
G,
What about the rest? What about the rest?
Long story short, 3.5 later, almost 3.5 hours later in the DMV, I finally get my number called, or 2 hours. I finally get my number called, go up. The woman was very nice. I said, I got to renew my driver's license. I was going to have the fight if I had time. I was going to put myself down as a black female. Now, in California,
because that's how you were feeling.
That's how I was feeling
at the time.
Right. But I didn't get to do it because I was just short on time and patience.
I would have loved it if you'd pulled out your hijab.
Oh, God. Anywho, I wanted to take a picture with the hat I had on at the time as a Red Sox hat, and I wanted to argue that it was religious. But I didn't even want to get – I had already been there so long, I was aggravated. I was just aggravated. So I go up, and the woman's very nice. I said, hey, I got to renew this my driver's license. So I have 2 transactions. She's like, oh, let's do the driver's license first. Takes 5 minutes. Okay, boom. And it did take 5 minutes. It was very, very quick, very efficient. The girl was very, very nice. And, I'm B number 163, and she finished the transaction, looks at me and goes, thank you. Bing! Now serving B number 154. I said, well, I had a second transaction.
Oh, you have to come back for that.
And she goes, well, it's not on the ticket. And I said, okay, well, I told the woman at the front that I had a second transaction. And she was like, oh, well, you're going to have to talk to her then.
Okay, now transition this over into the hospital.
That's my point.
You're about to go in for, I don't know, let's say kidney surgery.
Right.
And by the way, your right
This
leg is broken too, and it's bleeding. And you point out
exact point I'm trying to make.
You say, I'm scheduled because they ask you before you go in there. And what are you here for today? Well, I'm here for the kidney surgery. And the broken leg that's bleeding right there. Oh, we have you down for the kidney surgery, but we can't do anything on that broken leg. I'm so sorry.
Well, what if the broken leg was gangrenous? Yeah, you're going to have to go take another number.
You're going to have to go back to see the nurse. We're going to have you fill out some paperwork, and we'll get to it because there's more people behind you.
Well, and here's the funniest part is I go up to the woman at the front, and I said, ma'am, do you remember me? She says, yes, I do. I said, wonderful. I said, ma'am, I was here, and I told you I had 2 transactions. And she said, no, I remember that. You did. I said, that's lovely. I said, there was a mistake made, and she did not understand, and she wouldn't accept my second transaction. She goes, well, I put it on the ticket. And I said, I understand that, ma'am. But she didn't understand that. The little one over there. The one you can barely see, just all you see is like a brown hair and glasses sticking out over the counter. She didn't understand that. She goes, it's my apologies. We're going to fix this as soon as we can. I said, thank you. I figured I would go to the next available window. I went to like the fuck-up queue. That's the only thing I could call it.
Oh, yes.
When there was like 15 of us who the exact same thing happened.
That's right.
And waited another 35 minutes.
Yeah.
That's like, as quick as humanly possible.
That's
for
like
the
a
state
retraction
agencies.
in a newspaper always goes in section F at the very last page down at the bottom in superfine print. So, yes, that's all you can call it. You were in the fuck-up queue.
I was in the fuck-up queue. Oh, I was so angry. Oh,
but look at it this way. Thank God they have one.
No!
Because otherwise, what would you do? You'd wait outside in the planter? I guess you could do that.
My biggest problem is they had not only a line and a procedure because it happened so often, but the line was long. It was horrific. Horrific.
2 words. 3 words, actually. Hello, quality control.
Oh, God.
Now, translate that over to your health care.
It was just.
People wonder why you and I want to get the hell out of this state. We were talking about socialism, and we were talking about Venezuela. And the study, what I was going to say, is that a study was conducted. Now, this came out of lifezet.com, which occasionally has some intriguing stuff in it. But because it involves, say, ABC, CBS, NBC, do you think they published this?
Negative.
No, they didn't.
Negative.
So here's the story. Out of approximately 50,000 total evening news stories on ABC, CBS, and NBC combined in the last 4 years, 25 have covered the ongoing crisis in socialist Venezuela, according to a Media Research Center study published Tuesdays. After Venezuela's former socialist president Hugo Chavez passed away in March 2013, the country spiraled into economic disaster and civil chaos. So far in 2017, more than 50 Venezuelans have been killed during protests against current Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Correct. So this has been not just you can be dismissive of things, you can be ignorant of things, but this is purposeful. This is purposeful non-coverage because it speaks to socialism as they don't want socialism revealed. What other reason for that can you offer? That's the only one that I've got.
Why would
they don't want you to know that socialism fails
I hate
abjectly.
to say it, but if there is any sort of attack in a foreign country, you hear about it right away. Right? Look at Turkey. Look at the amount of coverage Turkey got when that attempted military coup, what was it, 8 months ago, 7 months ago? Right? It was all over the networks, 24/7 coverage, blah, 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 blah. Venezuela, nothing. Excuse me. You get nothing out of Venezuela.
You know,
and it's horrific.
The other thing is the situation is deteriorating. It's getting worse by the day, by the week, by the month, and they still are not covering a thing on this.
How soon before the UN's in?
I don't know if they haven't come in by now. I suspect they're not going to, because they don't want to interrupt the process. They don't want to interrupt Maduro. To point a negative finger at a socialist individual or a country is anathema to the United Nations, which, I say, would make excellent condos overlooking the East River. Or as somebody else said, I think it was Riva, Jersey Joe, I think he said it would also make great veteran homeless condos. That was you? Okay. Yeah. Again, that's another great
I say a VA hospital and a VA hospital and home for homeless vets.
Yep.
I absolutely agree with that.
Perfect.
I think it would be a great thing. So, yeah, it's just a tragedy down there, but it's a bigger tragedy that the news in this country will not, and a lot of other countries, it's not just America that it's blacked out on.
They won't use the word socialism because you can't do that. The only time that I heard the media even remotely mention the word socialism was when an occasional individual would use it in linkage with Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
But only because Bernie used it himself.
Absolutely. But they also said socialist-like, or they never diet socialism. I do want to jump to a new subject. Speaking of socialism and everybody getting everything equally, tampons.
Oh, good darn point. You know what needs to be done to the tampons? They need to be freed. Did you know that? We need to free the terrible shackled tampon. So, okay, everybody, with me, say in unison, free the tampon, free the tampon. Because that's what leftists want now.
So ridiculous.
Tampons should be not only in women's restrooms, but in terms of equity, they should be in men's restrooms as well.
Yes.
This is becoming a movement.
Yes.
A social justice warrior movement. Get it? A movement in a restroom.
A movement in a restroom.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
See what I did there?
So here's what kills me about this. You now have the leftists saying that for equality purposes, you must have tampons in both bathrooms.
That's right. And it's about menstrual equality, equity. It's only fair.
I cannot keep up with the insanity of the left on any... I can't even keep up with this shit. Like, it just gets more and more ridiculous. Like, what do you need it for? Are they arguing that it's the transgender females that go in to use the male restrooms? We all see them sit down.
Well, it says over the years, several colleges have improved access to menstrual products on their campuses, including in some men's and gender-neutral restrooms.
Why? All right, gender-neutral...
Yeah,
okay.
See?
I don't care about the gender-neutral. I really don't.
Oh, but the bad thing is, that last detail has prompted some conservative websites to take note. To even take note of this is bad. And even worse if you're a conservative website. Ooh.
Yeah, well, God forbid. Here's the thing with this. Gosh.
Because I have another paragraph to read which proves my point. This is, it says, the American Conservative, which is a site, the American Conservative mockingly headlined its report, Social Justice Washrooms from Tomorrow's Generation of American Elites. Commenters on Breitbart's report on the trend called it academic insanity.
Yes.
Pointing out that men do not menstruate. Oh, now see how shocking that is to state the obvious. But you're terrible if you state the obvious.
Well, because here's their argument. There's no science anymore for men and women. Right? They argue that there's no difference anymore.
There's no difference.
And that's what the crux of this comes down to, in my opinion. When we start talking about transgender, cross-gender, I don't know, up-gender, down-gender, whatever the fuck they call it now.
Cisgender. I don't even know what the hell that is.
Right.
And nor do I care. I don't care about
gender it. Bender, furries, all these other lunatics.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Right? And I'm not saying... I'm saying what has happened is the acceptance on a mass level has created to all of these other things where everyone's, well, I don't want to identify as a human being anymore. I want to identify as a furry, an animal. That I walk upright and I wear a tail and my thing and go to. But this is the acceptance that happens when you start going down the slippery slope. This other thing that there's 144 possible genders. No.
You know, I think last night they found the 145th. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, maybe he used to work here. I don't know.
Do you think we can say that Clint is not going to be here tonight?
Yes,
might,
we can
might we
safely say
conclude
that.
Okay. All right. Poor Clint.
But here's my issue as it goes away. All they're doing is creating acceptances for things that are not realistic anymore. Hey, listen, you go in and you get some equipment chopped off and you come out and you have to use the girls' room. I could care less, right? But on that same token, if you go into the girls' room with a full beard, junk still attached, but you're in a skirt, I have serious issues with that. We've talked about this before.
That seems awfully judgmental.
But they're forcing the acceptance. And you go down the slippery slope, and I think of children. I think of moms in a restaurant. Because we've talked about this before, right? If I was a high school senior, all of a sudden, I'd identify as a woman. I got to go to the girls' locker room to change. Sorry. No, you can't hide themselves. There's not that in the men's locker room. We're talking about equality. And you can laugh and say, ha, 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 but the reality is there. So we have these weird forced acceptances that once you start chipping away at that core value, and nobody cared about cross-dressers for years, and not in a negative way, in the sense that you knew a cross-dresser was a cross-dresser. Most of the time, they used the gender-appropriate bathroom. It was a little weird to stand next to a chick at a urinal, not going to lie. But it was just like, oh, all right, so he likes wearing panties. Great.
Quick story.
But now to have parts chopped off or not chopped off or semi-chopped off, and you have cisgender and furries and all this other shit, this is what it leads to. This is the problem that we have with society. We have 144 genders. The same side of the aisle that argues science and global warming cannot accept the fact that you were born either a male or a female. It's not how you feel. I made the joke about going to the DMV the other day.
You are so horrible.
And wanting to identify as a black female. But at the end of the day,
you were feeling it.
If I was honestly feeling that and I put it down, you think they would have just let that slide through?
Well, you're not Rachel Dolezal, for one.
Yes or no? Do you think they would have just been like, oh, okay, Mrs. Lewis?
I'd say you're a caucasoid, so no, they would not have let that slide.
I absolutely agree. I did not fit, I'm in my tough guy clothes or whatever. I did not fit what would be deemed acceptable. I would have spoke to a manager. They would have told me to fill out these forms, maybe have a doctor sign off, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's the hypocrisy of it all.
You wouldn't have walked out with it that day, that's for sure.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's the hypocrisy. So I'm sorry, we have 2 minutes. I know you had a story. And then after the break, Dan Butch has given us a call, too.
Okay. Quick story, because I know we're pushing the break. Imagine my shock and my chagrin when I'm working for a coastal sheriff's department here in Fornicalia. It's my first day. This is the 1970s. I go downstairs to the basement to the locker room. And imagine what happens when a female deputy sheriff comes in, opens the locker, and strips down to her skivvies and walks into the bathroom. It was a co-ed locker room. I have not since seen that. But there I was at that time in a co-ed locker room. My jaw damn near hit the floor.
Here's the best part about that. And you can call me whatever you want to call me now, and all feminists will hate this comment. It's never the one you want it to be.
Well.
And we're up against a break. I'm not going to let you answer that.
Actually.
I'm kidding.
She was pretty hot.
Oh, okay. I'll believe you. I didn't see her.
Which is why there was even greater consternation. Because I thought, damn, this is my lucky day.
It was your lucky day, damn it. And you didn't play the lottery. And now you have to be stuck with us.
And here I am loving it.
And loving every minute of it. Oh, God, we're up against a break. When we come back, Dan Butcher, High Plains pundit, will be joining us. And we have a couple other topics to get to before the top of the hour. It went quick again.
No
we'll wrap
kidding.
it up right here on the
Last
Sackheads
segment.
Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Mim from Freedom Fest, the world's largest gathering of free minds. Join your friends from SHR Media at the beautiful Paris Resort in Las Vegas, Nevada, July 19th through the 22nd for 3 amazing days of liberty-oriented discussion, investment advice, and the Anthem Film Festival. It's our big 10th anniversary, featuring keynote speaker William Shatner and Freedom Fest favorites, including Steve Forbes, Jim Rogers, Lee Edwards, David Boaz, Doug Casey, Dinesh D'Souza, John Stossel, Lisa Kennedy, Grover Norquist, Peter Schiff, and many more. Don't miss out. Register at freedomfest.com for $100 off the regular registration rate when you use the all-caps code SHR Media.
The Bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet. Via the glorious SHR Media. Gird thy loins for the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Coming soon to ossicles near you. Excelsior.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. BZ?
I can't see a damn thing in these. These are prescription. I didn't think they were prescription, but they are.
They are absolutely
So
prescription.
let me take them off because I can't see the damn computer screen.
Oh, man, at your age, it's rough.
I know. It's terrible.
It's just not a strong enough prescription. That's
The weird
problem.
thing is, as I got older, my eyes got better. And now
really?
I don't need reading glasses. I've never needed reading glasses.
Well, I'm impressed. I am absolutely impressed.
Dan, are you impressed?
I'm very impressed.
Aren't you always? Aren't you always? Dan just, there's nothing Dan can do. He's always impressed when he calls a sackhead. So, that's just how it rolls.
Yeah, but I can say one thing. It's been a long time since I've been on, but I've been on the show more often than Clint has recently. So, there's something to be said there.
Dan wins the award for Zinger of the Night.
Oh, and Clint.
If I had a medal, Dan, I'd put it on you right now. You win.
And Clint, do you have a response? No? Okay, go ahead.
That's Dan Butcher for the win, folks. Holy crap. Zing, bang, boom.
Oh, that was brutal. That was brutal.
Oh.
I'm proud of you, Dan. I'm proud of you.
Nicely played, sir.
Editor-in-Chief of High Plains Pundit, Mr. Dan Butcher. Sir, thank you for joining us this evening. How art thou?
Doing good, my friend. You know, everything's going great. We've been, I say we, but I've been working hard on SHR Media's website. You have things behind to say.
And you know what? I did give you a fair 5 minutes off for this phone call, and then it's right back to work for you. So
that's exactly right. but Sean does pay me $2.35 an hour plus tips. So you know, hey, we're getting there.
Is that is that union rate? Union rate?
That is the union rate in California, I believe, or maybe not.
Here's Sean's tips. Seabiscuit in the 9th. Weigh your galoshes in the rain.
Now.
Always wash behind your ears. Those are Sean's tips.
Oh man, well guys, you know what? We've got a lot of great things taking place at SHR Media and High Plains Pundit and High Plains Pundit TV, High Plains Talk Radio. You name it, we've got it going on now.
Well, I agree, Danny. You know, one of the things that we've really I've been working between both organizations on the last couple of weeks is being able to get our products out and our broadcasters out as much as possible. And I said before in a group text, and I said at the beginning of the show, but I want to say it with you on the phone, I do greatly appreciate how hard you work for us, trying to make sure that our product is good on the website side of things, and the addition of SHR TV and just all of that you do behind the scenes. We greatly appreciate it as well.
Oh, you bet, man. I appreciate it. You know what? It's a. You know, I tell everybody this is a labor of love. I'm fortunate. I get to do what I do for a living, but you know, I would do it anyway. It's something that I enjoy doing. It's a passion, especially being in conservative media. You know, what more can you say? We have such a outstanding group, you know, at SHR Media, all of our show hosts, everybody, all of my writers at High Plains Pundit and everything. And folks, if you haven't checked out the changes we've done to SHR, especially how we at SHR, what we're doing on our news feed is we're aggregating a lot of news. You'll see some original stuff, but a lot of stuff I'm aggregating a lot of news to different sources, some stories that you probably wouldn't see elsewhere, to kind of make people more, you know, informed. And then we also are, you know, we're also doing some experimenting. If you're, you know, like we said, we added the SHR TV page,
yes, we did.
Which is nice, where you can have the video and the chat room. We were experimenting with putting the video and the audio together, but there's a lot of people that don't like to mess with the video, so it's nice to have them separate, but have the chat and everything. We also you know, Dave brought up something to me yesterday that we worked on, and we got rid of a little annoying aspect of the of the website that we both agreed was pretty annoying, and so that took care of some issues with some the website loading on older browsers and different things like that. So hopefully we're listening, guys.
I was grateful. I was very, very grateful for that, actually.
Dan, if you didn't
we are
catch
trying
it,
to get it out there.
Dan, if you didn't catch it, I apologize for screwing up and posting my show twice last night when, in fact, you'd already done it once, and then I bigfooted you by doing it again. So, my apologies.
Well, you know, what that was is I had seen, you know, your show was over, and I thought, well, Bigfoot didn't BZ didn't post his show,
Bigfoot.
And I went, well, I'll just post it for him. And then he comes back later and does it himself. So, but you cannot say that we're at least not efficient in getting things done.
No, that's true. That's very true.
I will minus myself from that statement because I am not efficient on getting things done. I like to say I will eventually get things done. And I work hard at eventually getting to it.
Well, you know what? But here's the bottom line, guys. This is what all we're doing with SHR. Everything that we're doing at High Plains Pundit. You know, this is a labor of love. You know, like I said, I'm fortunate. I get to do this for a living. You know, there's some of you guys out here that, you know, you do your shows and then have to go to work and different things. And so we definitely want to, let me tell you. And so we definitely want to make sure that, you know, that for all of our show hosts that are out there, all of the writers that are contributing to the websites, that we make it as easy on them as possible, and that they have a very friendly environment for their shows and for their writings to be a part of. And that's what we strive for. And, when I originally launched High Plains Talk Radio years ago, that was what it was for. It was a platform to give people a bigger audience, a much broader audience. We're fortunate, and I've told everybody, when I launched my first website, and 8 years ago, it seems like an eternity now, 59 readers now, and now I have somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 million unique readers each month on High Plains Pundit, and so it's, with somewhere around 15 million page views, so it's grown and continues to do so. And so now we're concentrating on growing the SHR brand, and dude, it's I'm going to tell you what, if you guys have not listened, today was the first day I'd gone through and listened, and I want to compliment BZ. BZ, I listened to your show last night. It was absolutely amazing.
I saw you in chat.
Absolutely amazing, my friend. And then I was listening to Joe and Melanie earlier today. The shows we have here, folks, this is stuff you will hear on major networks, on major terrestrial. We have that quality of programming, and it only keeps getting better and better and better. And then we have
us extraterrestrial. Yeah, well, we're extraterrestrial.
No, I was laughing because Dave Milner in chat said, well, somebody had to pick up the slack for Fox.
Yeah,
and he
agree.
also gave you a compliment, Dan. He said
exactly.
The new High Plains Talk Radio site is fantastic. And he also says, now, you'll get this. I know you'll get it, and Dave obviously gets it, and I do too. He says, the SHR site works better too.
It does. It was increased greatly, and I appreciated that as well.
Well, let me tell you what it was. We had a little news ticker crawl at the top that was a headline crawl, and what it was doing is it was messing with the script on mainly on some older browsers, and mainly in some different things, depending on if you were using Chrome or Foxfire or something like that. So it was that's the type of stuff we will listen. We'll listen to it, and man, I tell you what, when I did away with that, the site just bam.
Yeah, no, it moves much faster.
Right.
It really is. And so, Dan, one of the things you mentioned earlier is expanding and just kind of getting more information out there. And you mentioned writers. And that's something that both you are always seeking, and SHR is always seeking, is some people who like to write politically and skilled to try to expand their horizons a little bit. And maybe even broadcast both on your network and our network or together, as many of our broadcasters are doing now. So, I know for us, if you want to reach out to us, if you're one of those people, there's a litany of different ways. sackheadsradio@gmail.com will come right to me. And Dan is Dan at thesecondbestnewsmanintheworld.com.
Something tells me that's not right.
Was I close?
Yeah, you're close. It's actually number 3, but that's a different story.
Oh, you know what? I almost made the joke, but we'll move on from that right now. Right now.
One thing I want to tell you, Dan, is thank you for including the saloon in your site now.
Yes.
And promoting that, too. Really appreciate that. Thank you kindly.
Oh, it's my pleasure, my friend. And like I said, this is something that we're all doing together. It's when Sean and I, and I'll speak, quite frankly, Sean and I started out, just kind of our friendship started out like a lot of stuff does on social media, just back and forth, and then we've kind of entered into a partnership, and it's grown, and it's more than that now. Not only do we do a lot of work related stuff together. With SHR and High Plains Pundit, but we've become really good friends, and it's a friendship that I greatly value. It's very important to me, and Sean has really been supportive. I think a lot of people know that not too long ago, if you were listening on the air to my own personal show, I had on that particular show at the beginning, I had about 40,000 people listening, and I collapsed at the beginning of the show. And one of the first people that contacted me was Sean, and so reaching out and making sure that I was all right. And then of course,
Danny, for the
go
record,
ahead, buddy.
I waited a whole 5 minutes before I made a joke.
Exactly. Yeah, what really happened is, I keep a mini fridge under my desk, and I'd already emptied it out, hitting in, from the intro of the show, and that's what happened, in all honesty. So, but, well, I want to get into this real quick, because I know you guys want to get into your next topics and stuff, but, Sean was kind enough to bring me on tonight because we're going to make a big announcement. And this is something that goes back to Dave Milner. And this was an idea that Dave Milner put into my head, and then I shot it, and then I talked with Sean about it. And so this is kind of what we're going to be doing. I am going to be returning to the air. It's kind of something Mrs. Butcher was pressing me about it. And decided that that's one thing that I needed to do was get back on the air as part of, getting back to being 100%, being back to my old self, being fully healthy again. And that was one thing that she thought was really missing. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be kind of doing a combination of Red Eye and the Five. A lot of people know that on my show, the favorite shows that I've always done have been the roundtable discussions.
Yes, very much so.
What we're going to be doing is beginning on June the 11th, on that Sunday at 8 p.m. We're going to start doing the roundtable shows again. It'll be the news and commentary with Dan Butcher, and we will be bringing. We'll be rotating our guest panels on those shows. I would imagine probably there will be a few that'll be there more often than others, but we'll be rotating a lot of the hosts from SHR Media, from High Place Talk Radio, a lot of the writers that you see on High Place Talk, as well as a lot of the writers that I have friendships with at Hot Air, Town Hall, different things like that. You'll see a lot of them come rotating through there. And what we'll be doing is we'll do the live show. We're going to start out just doing it once a week. We'll do the live show on Sunday nights. We'll start out with a 2-hour show. I think it'll probably develop to a 3-hour show pretty quickly. We'll do it at 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the show will replay in the mornings, Monday through Friday, on SHR Media throughout the week to kind of kick off the day of programming for SHR. So that'll be one of the big things as we are in here in the next couple of weeks. You'll start kind of getting an idea for the new broadcast schedule for SHR and different things like that. So this is one of my ways of coming back and being a part on the broadcast side. And doing my part of something I really enjoy. I love being on the air, and something I really miss doing. And I've unfortunately, with some of the health stuff I've had over the last couple of years, that's something I've had to put on the back burner. But hopefully moving forward, everything is good to go, and that's kind of where we're at.
Well, and obviously we appreciate it. Your health always comes first. You have an absolutely beautiful family, and the support they give for you is oftentimes confusing, considering I've met you. I don't know why they still do it, but they're angels. And, of course, your beautiful wife, who I've said time and again on this show and others is one of the most amazing spitfires I've ever met in my life. She's just 4 foot of fury. And
so she's a super Marine then.
She's awesome. Here's the best part. Dan, you're what, 6'5", Dan, 6'4"?
Well, 6'2".
All right. Well, I'm little, so everyone.
No. I heard he was 6'8". Okay.
Yeah, well, I've never seen somebody 6'2" cringe so quickly from somebody who's 5'4", 5'5". But if you want to see Dan jump, you just have to have her look the right way. It's pretty amazing. I'm not going to lie. So,
I'll tell you this: if you've never, I think everybody's aware because Jane has been on. I don't know if she's been on. I think she's actually been on Sackheads before.
Yes, she
has.
But
she's been on a few of the shows. If you've never been here to Texas, Sean and Ken, the Underground Professor. Of course, we were all together last summer at the Texas State Convention, and they got to see her firsthand. She's very active politically here in the state.
Yeah, and see her in action is probably the best way to put that, because
not only that, no, yeah, when you're talking about when one of her best friends is the First Lady of Texas, when she walks up, the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Texas stops what he's doing to acknowledge her. U.S. Senator John Cornyn, who's in the middle of an interview, stops what he's doing to specifically walk up and acknowledge her. She's not even gotten close to him yet. And that type of aura that she commands, when she's dealing with elected officials. Not to mention all of the footwork and all of the amazing interviews that she rounded up for us in between while she was doing all of her behind the scenes stuff politically, working on different bills and pieces of legislation. And then she comes up and all of a sudden she's got these amazing interviews for us. It's just astounding what she can do.
And that's one of the things I love about High Plains Pundit. It is a family business, and it's family run, and everybody's involved in their own way, outside of it and inside of it. And like I said, Danny, we've appreciated the partnership, and we know going through years that it's going to do nothing but grow and prosper. And I'm glad you're coming back on Sunday nights at 8 Central.
You bet, Bob. I appreciate it, man.
By the way, Dan,
go ahead, BZ.
I got to have you on the saloon pretty soon.
Oh, man, you know what? It would be a blast. I would love to do it.
Dan is another one. When he does his show, he's very straight. He's got his sense of humor, but he's very clean and even-keeled. And, when he goes on his tangents, And then he's another one who comes on to Sackheads. Tonight was business, Dan. So we got all the business out of the way. But when Fun Dan calls Sackheads, he's as bad as everybody else who thinks it's just okay to walk on our show and say these whiz-bang crazy things, and it is. I mean, it's totally okay to do that. But it's just funny. We talk about all the time, the people have their own, sackhead personalities when they're guests, right? You listen to their shows, and they have this one persona. Then they come on Sackheads, and it's just like, yeah, you know what? I don't give a shit. I'm going to say exactly what I'm thinking right now. And it goes.
Why not?
Yeah, and I think one of the big things, and I think a lot of people that have been listening for at least the last couple of years, though, that Sean and I pick on each other relentlessly. And this goes back to when you were even hosting the Edge of Liberty, and I was hosting it for you, a couple of days a week and different things. But, Sean and I are constantly going back and forth. And, one of the things we've always done is I send these absolutely ridiculous stories to him that are true. Now, what's funny is these are true stories. These are not things that are, from the Onion. These are true, just outlandish stories. And it started out as a thing just to mess him up. And then he started incorporating it into the show.
Yes, that was my favorite part.
Yeah.
My favorite.
So, once again.
My favorite part is the first time I did it, I can't remember what the story was. It was out of, I think, the UK, and it was completely insane. The story was so off subject. It wasn't part of anything that I would talk about on the Edge of Liberty. And Dan sent it to me as a joke 5 minutes before I went to air, and I did 30 minutes on it. 30 minutes. And the whole time I'm getting messages from Dan going, I can't believe you opened with this. I can't believe you're still talking about this. Why are you still talking about this?
But it was one of those stories that just wouldn't end. That was that's the funny part.
It was awesome.
By the way, Sean, if you're interested, I do have the weather report out of the UK if you're interested.
You know what? I get it on my phone now, so I'm good, sir.
Oh, awesome.
A good friend, Dan Butcher, High Plains Pundit, editor-in-chief, High Plains Pundit Talk Radio, High Plains Pundit TV, and, of course, the webmaster here at SHR Media.
Dan, tell us where we can find you. Where can we find you?
Oh, Facebook?
Buddy, you can find me on Facebook. I have a wonderful following on Facebook. just look up HP Pundit on Facebook, and you will get to my Facebook page. You can follow me on Twitter. Of course, I have actually several Twitter accounts, but mainly if you'll just follow the High Plains Pundit Twitter, you can get me there. And, of course, the website is highplainspundit.com. If you go there, that'll get you to everything.
Yep.
That'll get you to High Plains Talk Radio. You can get it from there. You can get to High Plains Pundit TV, and you can get to SHR Media from High Plains Pundit as well.
Woo-hoo.
We have incorporated all of this and put it all together. Eventually, we will get around to making sure that we've got BZ's site attached to all this. This is the way it's going to work. Everybody that's got websites that are a part of SHR Media, we're going to make this one big media family.
Yep.
And we're going to get everybody involved with your websites, and so that everybody can have access to not only your shows but also your websites. Those are a very important part. And I stress to you out there, if you have a show, make sure you have a website. That's a very important component to being a part of this, and we definitely want to make sure that we utilize all of that and use it to everyone's advantage to promote their shows and spread the message of conservatism, or spread the message of if you're a libertarian. We all have a lot of things in common, but we want to make sure that everybody's voices are heard and that their words are read.
And again, if you want to contribute, reach out to either one of the web pages. And of course, Dan and I, every time we find someone or contact someone new, we always share back and forth if we think that they're a voice that'll match. So, Danny, thank you so much. We are wrapping up the show. BZ?
Thanks for what you've done for the website at bloviatingzeppelin.net. Thanks for putting me on your website. And I love cross-promotion, so trust me, I'm going to be contacting you to see when you can come into the saloon.
And hang out and have a drink, a very hairy drink.
Hairy?
You bet.
Danny, sir, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Hey, you bet, Sean. I appreciate it, man.
Take care, bud. That was, of course, there he goes. Dan Butcher, High Plains Pundit Talk Radio, highplainspundit.com.
Okay, why is he the second best?
It's a mystery that I will never tell on the air. People have to figure it out on their own.
Okay, then that begs the question, who's the first?
That's a mystery. Everyone has to figure
You're not
going to
go there either.
Nope, not going there.
Yeah,
Not
okay.
giving it away. Not giving it away. Hey, folks, do us a favor. Go to shrmedia.com. Subscribe. You can enter your email to follow. You can also follow us on YouTube. Please subscribe. Get every show, as all of our shows on the network are starting to migrate to video as well as the audio portion, so you'll always be able to hear us live on Spreaker. Always get the podcast, but you can also watch the YouTube video. Coming up tomorrow night, of course.
Hey, tomorrow night I'm going to have Kel Fritzy.
Right there on the...
And we're going to talk about, do you think maybe we're going to talk a little bit about Islam, perhaps?
Might get into it a tad. It might be
just
knitting, Islam.
bit,
Islam and knitting.
Right,
and
exactly.
You're going to talk about the knitting.
Damn it! I was trying to promote that. Darn it, and I was going to leave that for tomorrow, and you broke it. All right.
Of course, that's tomorrow night at 11 p.m. right here on SHR Media.
You know what I didn't say?
What's
what I didn't say. I didn't tell anybody about what you guys were doing last Wednesday. And I'm not going to spill it on this show, but when Clint comes back next Wednesday, I'm going to tell everyone where you guys were last week on Wednesday. So you're going to have to tune in for that, too, on Sackheads.
I can't wait.
Oh, I'm sure you can't. I'm sure of that.
I always love to hear about what I did after I did it. That's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite games to play. It goes back to my youth when I would drink a lot. My youth, when I used to wake up, go, what the hell did I do last night? And everybody would tell you. Everybody would tell you, right? Oh, man. Also, like I said, SHR Media, check out all the shows, Reverb Common Sense, The Business Diva, Miss Melanie, Pastor Mike, Pastor Shannon and Mike, of course, are there. Ralph's just tearing it up like he always does, the amazing Ralph Chinhams. And more as we go on. We're going to expand and we're going to keep going, so we're really excited about it. It's going to be a big year. FreedomFest.com, or go to shrmedia.com and click the Freedom Fest banner and use the SHR Media.
July is going to be a big month for SHR, trust me.
Huge. Make sure you check us out. We will be back next Wednesday, 8 p.m. on the Pacific, 11 on the East Coast, right here on shrmedia.com. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your week.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Backheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
Into the silo.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.